Love this podcast? Support this show through the Acast supporter feature. It's up to you how much you give, and there's no regular commitment. Just hit the link in the show description to support now.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Cognitive Recalibration Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Sravan. We've got Tarun remotely in this podcast again.
Hey, everyone.
How was your week?
Yeah, it's all right.
Let's just have a conversation this episode because we don't have anything to talk about, but we do. We do have something to talk about, and we're going to give you the most comprehensive review of Cruella that exists on the internet.
Okay.
You're going to get two sides of the equation here because you're going to get a review from someone who hasn't watched it, which is you.
Yep.
And you're going to get a review from someone who has just watched it, which is me. I literally just watched it.
I've arguably done something better than watching Cruella. I've watched a review of someone who watched Cruella. So
you're going to review the review of Cruella.
No, I'm going to review Cruella based off the review that I watched.
All right. Okay. So let's see how we go. Let's see if I'll make you go first, and let's see how close you get to my actual review. Let's see if we're in line. Before we get into it, I'll quickly go through some background on the movie. So it's directed by Craig Gillespie. He's Australian, so I don't know. Maybe he's related to Jason Gillespie. Yeah,
I was going to say son of Jason Gillespie.
Well, I think it's a bit too old to be the son. Maybe he's his brother or something. He's from Australia though, so cousin.
Yeah, you never know.
You never know.
Jason Gillespie, famous Australian fast bowler, and famously scored 200 against Bangladesh.
Yes.
as a tailender. Yeah.
Yeah, and he did it over
not out.
3 days or something. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
We're talking about cricket for those who don't know what we're talking about. Most of our audience is actually in the US, so they probably don't know what we're talking about.
Look up Jason Gillespie. He's got a great head of hair. Well, he used to. He used to have a great head of hair.
It's produced by a range of different people, but the executive producer for this one was Glenn Close, who previously played this character.
Who died in Guardians of the Galaxy. No, she doesn't die, actually. She's in Guardians of the Galaxy.
I don't think she died. Yeah, I don't think she died.
No, she doesn't die. She's like one of the few people that doesn't die in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
She does die in Infinity War, though, off screen.
Because they go to Nova, right? And they destroy it. Yeah, so she's probably dead in the universe now. But yeah, she's in Guardians of the Galaxy, and she was Cruella de Vil in the live action
101 Dalmatian.
Of 101
and
Dalmatians.
102 Dalmatians.
Yes, I didn't realize there was two live action versions.
There's a sequel. Did you know there's a sequel? 102 Dalmatians. They have one extra one. Yeah. They find one on the street.
So obviously this character is based off 101 Dalmatians, which is a movie animated Disney movie that came out in the 60s, I think. And I think I mentioned this earlier, but the original 101 Dalmatians is actually one of the most successful movies of all time when you take into account inflation. So it's like it made a lot of money back then. So this movie, it's starring Emma Stone and Emma Thompson. So the two Emmas, they're the two main characters. So it must have got really confusing on set when there was two Emmas. Maybe they just called them Stone and Thompson, or Emma T and Emma S, or I don't know. They must add some code language. But yeah, they're the two main characters, but there's other actors in it as well. One other prominent actor who doesn't feature too much in the movie is Mark Strong.
I know all this. As a person that's seen this movie, I know all this.
And apart from that, there's not too much to talk about. So it released on Disney Plus, simultaneous release in Disney Plus and cinemas. We were actually going to watch this in the cinemas, but our hand was forced by lockdown, so you ended up paying ironically, you ended up paying for it, but you haven't watched it.
Yeah, I paid for you to watch it.
Yeah, he's paid for me to watch it on Disney Plus Premier Access, so I just watched it on that. The runtime is 134 minutes, and I got a couple of thoughts about that. The budget was, I'm not going to ask you because you don't care and you don't know.
I don't care. Yeah. I always get it wrong.
So the budget was between 100 and 200 million. I'm
not good with big numbers. Like when you get to those kind of numbers, I just don't know. I don't know what it is.
But yeah, 100 to 200 million, which is a lot. That's a big budget movie.
See, I wouldn't know. I would be like, is that how much Infinity War costs? I don't know.
So Endgame, I think, cost about almost 400 million. So this is almost half of Endgame. For those who are listening, audio quality might not be great because, again, we're doing it remotely. We'll see how we go. Last week it ended up coming out all right, but hopefully it's okay this week as well. Box office wise, I've given you the budget. What do you think it's done box office wise?
See, I told you I'm not good with like big numbers. From like 50 million to like 300 million, I can't tell the difference. I don't know how much of a big difference that is. But opening week box office,
yeah.
All I know is that Batman v Superman did 100 million opening week, and that's really big. So I'm guessing it's like 20 million.
Well, no,
or less.
So it made 51 million. 51.8 million. I don't think this is just the weekend. I think it's to date, so it's about a week since it's come out. Going by pandemic levels, it's actually decent. It's actually pretty good going by movies that have released during the pandemic. It's doing all right. And then I've got a couple of stats, and they're sketchy stats because no one really knows how many people watch stuff on Disney Plus. Apparently, it's done pretty well in terms of the Disney Plus viewership as well. But before we get to that, Craig Gillespie, I've got a couple of things on the movies he's done. So he directed a movie called $1 Million Arm, which is with John Hamm, how he goes to India and he finds
I've seen that movie, actually. Yeah, it's the one where he recruits Indians to the Major League Baseball. It's a pretty decent movie. Should we review that movie?
Well,
I've seen that one.
You can talk. I haven't seen it, but you can talk about that one. Or maybe we'll do a review of that one after this. We'll just do a Craig Gillespie filmography review. He also directed a movie called I, Tonya, starring Margot Robbie.
Oh, yeah. I haven't seen that one.
Yeah.
Can't review that one. Well, we can, evidently.
Yeah, well, we could just both review. I haven't seen that one either, but I heard that one's actually quite good. In terms of other background, I haven't got too much about it. Apparently there's a manga adaptation of the movie that's also released called Cruella Black, White and Red, which is scheduled to release later this year. This is the viewership stuff that I was gonna talk about. So according to Samba TV, which is a source that apparently they track how many people watch stuff on streaming, they said that about 686,000 American households watched Cruella in its debut weekend. Apparently it's behind Mulan's 1.12 million. They're saying that results in about 20 million of revenue for Disney. So that seems like a decent amount as well from a pay-per-view release on Disney+. And they also said 9,000 people watched in Australia. And I'm guessing most of those people are in Melbourne because they've had to watch it because of lockdown.
Yeah, I'm guessing that is the case. Only 1,000 of those were paid for by me as well.
What, did you pay for 1,000 people?
Yeah, man. Everyone's just messaging me and asking for my bank details.
That's all I had in terms of background on this movie. There is a sequel planned, but we'll talk about that afterwards. So what was the story of this movie? The
story. As a person that's seen this movie, I definitely know the story. It's got Emma Stone and Emma Thompson, the two Emmas. It's kind of like The Devil Wears Prada to begin with. I think like Emma Stone, no, I don't think I know because I've seen this movie. Emma Stone is like the assistant to Emma Thompson. Emma Thompson's not a good person. She's a bit of a bitch. And then Emma Stone's very nice, but then she becomes Cruella. She adopts a persona, and then they plan a heist. They do a heist. That's in this movie. That's pretty much the movie.
Okay. Well, you're actually not that far off. So what are the positives and negatives?
Positives, I think. I don't know why I keep saying I think, because I know this movie. Emma Stone's pretty good in it. I think Emma Thompson, but I think both the Emmas are pretty good in it. They play their characters well. I think that's it for the positives. The negatives, though, it's a bit long, and the character motivations don't really make sense that much. I feel like it's not very well explained, the character motivations. That's what I'm going to go with. That's my review there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in the end, is it a cognitive recalibration or a cognitive regression?
I think it's good enough to get a recalibration. It's not that bad. It's okay. It's watchable.
Yeah.
But it's not great.
So that's Tarun's review of Cruella. From a person that hasn't watched it, we can now compare it directly with me, who has just watched it. This is a genuine review because I've actually seen it. Not that yours was not genuine, because surprisingly, some of our points actually line up.
My review's always accurate. No matter if I've seen it or not, it's accurate.
Okay, so the story, you're actually not too far off the story. So the story, I would summarize it as it's got elements of Devil Wears Prada and Joker as well. It's got a bit of Joker mixed in there. And then it's got 101 Dalmatians sort of origin story mixed in there as well. So it's about this girl called Estella who is just a bit weird. She's born with black and white hair. So one side of her hair is black and one side of her hair is white. She's just born like that. She's always a bit different while she's growing up. So it starts from when she's a kid, follows her into her adulthood. But it's basically just about her and her alternate persona, which is Cruella. And then she ends up, like I said, she ends up working for Emma Thompson, who's the Baroness, and she's like a fashion designer. And then that's when it gets into like Devil Wears Prada region. But then after that, there's some revelations about Cruella / Estella and the Baroness because she's like a terrible person. Things happen from there. There's twists and turns from there.
And there's a heist.
There is a heist. Actually, it does become a bit of a heist movie in the middle. It's sort of a heist because they're petty thieves. So Cruella has a couple of friends and they're just thieves and they steal stuff. That's sort of non-spoiler. That's the story. So my positives, similar to yours, I think the Emmas are very good in the movie. Emma Stone was really good as Estella / Cruella. And Emma Thompson was really good at being like terrible, terrible person. She's probably worse. She's worse than is it Meryl Streep? Yeah, Meryl Streep in Devil Wears Prada, right? She's worse than her. Like worse person than her. Production values are good. Like it is an expensive movie, but it shows on the screen. So there's a lot of good cinematography, I guess. It looks good. It looks very vibrant, and there's a lot of good shots as well. Like there's a shot where there's like a lot of continuous shots where they just follow Cruella, like she goes into a store and then they go around the store, like go to all the floors and then return back to where she is, like, and she's in some other part of the store. There's stuff like that, which was neat. I only noticed this because I was watching it on my monitor. I might not have even thought much of it if we were watching in the cinema, but because I was watching on Disney Plus, I could like dissect it and take notes and stuff. Other positives, it's got like this 70s vibe. I don't know much about 70s, but it has a lot of like 70s rock themes in the background. A lot of licensed music with like the Beatles and I think it's Beatles and other musicians from that era. So it has that theme and it's set in London. Got that London 70s setting as well, which was good. They did that well. Moving on to negatives, it is a bit long. I felt it was a bit long. They really committed to like this origin, like they really want to make sure that you know everything about this character for some reason. Like they really committed to like going deep into her like childhood and then going into how she becomes Cruella and all this stuff. But I thought it was a bit too long. Probably didn't need to be as long as it was. Another thing is it necessary, the movie? Probably not, because I didn't really need to know about Cruella's.
But now you do.
Cruella's origin story. I didn't need to know it. And to be honest, it doesn't really. I think the reason they're planning to do a sequel is because she isn't really that character by the end of it anyway. You're trying to sympathize.
It's like that other one with Angelina Jolie.
Maleficent. Yeah. I would say it's probably better. This is probably better than Maleficent because if it wasn't like branded as a Cruella de Vil origin story, if it was just like some other thing, probably wouldn't have made a difference. Like it actually works without having that origin story over it. But then at the end, they kind of commit to it and they like connect it directly back to 101 Dalmatians. I haven't seen the animated version recently, but I just remember she's meant to be like no redemption sort of villain. Like she's meant to be really bad because she's committed to like killing dogs and using their fur for coats and stuff. So I just can't see that sort of character. Like
the redemption is that the coats are very fashionable now.
yeah.
So she kills the dog still, but at least the coats are fashionable.
Yeah, I just can't see us sympathizing with that sort of character. But I guess in this one, she isn't really that character yet. But did we need it? Probably not. But overall, I actually still enjoyed it. Like there's a couple of twists in there that I didn't actually see coming. Sort of, yeah, it was entertaining. So I had a decent time with it. So I'd also.
Do you think Disney fans wanted this?
Probably not.
Or do you think Disney fans enjoy this?
If you're a fan of the original 101 Dalmatians, probably not. Like,
did your wife like it?
She hasn't watched it yet.
Does she want to watch it?
I think so. I think she'll. Okay. Like she's not going to watch it straight away. Like she's not dying to watch it, but she'll watch it.
Yeah, so it's not like Mulan or anything like that.
Nah, so it's not the same level as like any of the other live action. Like in terms of anticipation, it's not the same level as like Aladdin or Lion King or Mulan, any of those. In terms of quality,
It's better than those.
I actually think it's definitely better than some of them. It's
better than Mulan because Mulan is terrible.
It's better than Mulan. Although I even gave Mulan positive, but it's better than Mulan.
Did I give Mulan positive?
I think we had a good time with it because it had some stupid stuff.
I'm regressing that. It's a negative. It's not a good movie.
It was a bit boring. I think that was the main crime of Mulan. But this is it's better than Mulan. It's better than Lion King. Probably better than Lion King. It's better than Maleficent. It's better because it's different. Like it actually tried something different. And it's a bit dark. Like it doesn't go full Joker, obviously. Like they can't. So it doesn't have the same level of it's not as depressing as Joker. It doesn't get to those levels, but it does go to some dark places. So yeah, I think it's worth a watch. So if it's in your cinemas, you got nothing else to do then, and it's safe to go to the cinemas, then yeah, why not? I wouldn't really pay the extra premium price for it, but when it becomes free on Disney Plus, I think it's worth a watch.
You would only watch it on Disney Plus if someone else is paying for you.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. The question is, would you buy it on Disney Plus and not watch it and get someone else to watch it for you? The answer is also yes, because I did that.
Well, you're in the best position to answer that. So yes.
Yes.
You did exactly that. So yes. But yeah, I recommend it. So another cognitive recalibration. I thought this was the biggest danger in our line of cognitive recalibrations this year. So far this year, I thought this was going to be the one, but no, it's not this one. We got some other ones coming in the next couple of weeks. Maybe they'll fall in the trap, but it's not this one. All right, we can talk about spoilers. So if you haven't seen Cruella and you care about spoilers, go watch it, come back to this point in the episode and listen to our spoilers. I'll put their timestamps below. Okay, so as I said, it starts when she's a kid. Like, it starts when she's born. That's like the first sequence in the movie. It's a period piece, so it's like 1964. Her mum is a fashion designer, and she's a bit of a rebel. Like, she doesn't get along with kids at school, and she gets expelled. And as a result of her getting expelled, they moved to London. So I think they lived somewhere else in the UK, and then they're moving to London. But on their way to London, her mum she said she has to go meet someone to get money or something. Like, she needs, because they're not doing well financially either. So they end up going to this big manor. And Cruella, she was meant to stay in the car, but she can't help herself. And she goes out and she like explores the manor. And it's like this really posh fashion gala or something that's happening in the manor. So she ends up going into this manor, and she gets found out. And there's 3 Dalmatians that chase her. And she like runs outside, and this manor's like at the edge of it's like near a cliff. So it's like right at the edge near the ocean, and there's a cliff.
So she throws the dogs off the cliff.
Not exactly.
One by one.
So this is like 10-year-old Estella. She sees her mum and this other lady on the edge of a cliff, like just talking. And then the dogs are chasing her, and she like jumps in front of the bushes, but then the dogs jump over the bushes and go attack her mum for some reason. And her mum falls off the cliff and dies.
So then she chucks the dogs off the cliff.
Well, and then
that's the whole movie. That's the origin story.
And then
she hates Dalmatians.
Well, she thinks it's her fault that her mum died, and she runs away, and she like jumps on the back of a truck and goes to London. And she ends up going to London anyway. And then she meets these 2 other guys who are what are their names? Their names aren't important, but they're the 2 guys that help her in the cartoon as well, in the animated movie. She has like these 2 thugs. So she meets them. And she also has a dog. She has a dog called Buddy, and they also have another dog, a Chihuahua, as well. So that's their sort of gang. There's these 2 guys, the 2 dogs, and her. They end up growing up, and they're petty thieves. So they just go and steal stuff, and that's how they make a living. But she also wants to become a fashion designer. So that's her plan from the beginning. She always wants to become a fashion designer. So this is a part of the movie. It was fine. Up to here, it was fine. But then they follow this whole trajectory of how she struggles. Like, she ends up getting a job at like a high-end department store, like I guess like our David Jones or like a Harrods in the UK. She ends up working there, but she works as like a cleaner essentially, and she always wants to like design clothes for the for their labels and stuff, but she has a really bad boss and he doesn't let her do it. But one night she gets drunk and she just decorates one of the windows, and then this Baroness, so Emma Thompson, comes and she's like doing a store visit, and she's like, oh, I want the person who decorated that, like she can come work for me. And Emma Stone ends up working for Emma Thompson. And then this is when it becomes Devil Wears Prada, because Emma Thompson's a horrible person, and then Emma Stone is like a talented fashion designer, and she likes her, but she doesn't tell her that she likes her, and she makes her do like all her good work. Go with that for a bit, but then she finds out, so her mother, Estella's mother, had this necklace that she gives her just before she died.
Oh, I know what's happening here. So the chick she was talking to before she fell off the cliff is Emma Thompson.
That's right. Yeah. So I think you can tell it, and I don't know if it was meant to be suspense, but you could tell that it's Emma Thompson anyway. So it is Emma Thompson, and Emma Thompson has this necklace that her mother had.
So they need to go steal the necklace. They want the necklace back.
I think it's at this point that you find out that she has the necklace. Well, she wants to get the necklace back, essentially, because it's not hers, like it's her mother's. So they do this heist to get the necklace back, and this is when Estella starts becoming Cruella, because Estella has like red hair. She like dyes her hair red, but when she's Cruella, she has a natural hair, which is like black and white. So she turns up to this one of her galas as Cruella, because Emma Thompson has this habit of kicking out any competition. So she like gets rid of them somehow. She wants to come in and make like a scene, and she comes in like one of the Baroness's previous dresses as well. So she comes in that and she makes a scene, and they steal the necklace. Like after some time, like there's a bit that happens in this scene, but they steal the necklace and they leave. I think it's at this part where she finds out it wasn't actually her fault that her mother died, but it was actually Emma Thompson that killed her mother, because she has this whistle. When she blows it, her dogs come towards her, and she basically got her dogs to attack her mum. The dogs weren't actually chasing Estella. They were actually going to Emma Thompson to kill Estella's mother. So that's actually what happened.
Which is only a surprise to Emma Stone and no one else, pretty much.
Exactly. Yes, no one else.
Yep. Including every single person that's seen this and not seen this movie.
So now it turns into a revenge story. So overnight, Estella's like she's a normal person. Like she's nice, courteous. She's not a horrible person.
But now she's got two hair colors. So
yeah, but overnight she becomes like this horrible person. Essentially, she becomes Cruella de Vil overnight. The de Vil's part's not there yet, but she becomes Cruella overnight. She starts treating her friends badly as well for some reason. Like she just becomes a horrible person. She's like, yeah, I'm gonna kill Emma Thompson. That's what I'm gonna do. Or actually, she doesn't go to that stage yet. She's just like, I'm gonna sabotage all her fashion plans, and she's gonna become like a her competitor and do her own fashion. But at the same time, she's kind of like Batman. She's like leading a double life, because she's still Estella and she still works for her as Estella. But then in the night, she's Cruella, and she does her own stuff.
The question is, why don't they recognize her as the same person? Because literally the only thing that's changed is her hair color.
Well, yeah, it's her hair color, and she dresses differently, and she wears glasses when she's Estella. But yeah, apart from that, it's the same person. And I guess she's a horrible person, which is Cruella. So that's another thing. And it comes up to this spring gala, which is like their main fashion show. And the Baroness gets Estella to design her signature dress for the spring collection. And she does it. So it's like this dress that has like gold all over it, like bits and pieces of gold. She designs that, but obviously she's doing it to sabotage it, because those gold things were actually like moths in their shells. So they look like gold. Like I think they were painted, but then eventually they come out and they're moths, and they store these dresses in a safe, and they're going to open it when, actually there's another thing in here, because initially they weren't going to put it into a safe, but then Cruella makes it look like she wants to steal them. So she makes it look like they broke into the fashion designer's place to steal them. But they just did that to make it look like they wanted to steal it. So then they put it in a safe. Because it's in a safe, the moths come out and they like eat all the other dresses, including this one, on the night of the gala. So they find out on the night. It's funny because then everyone, like the moths go all over this place, and everyone runs out, and they run straight into this like concert where Cruella is doing her fashion show.
Oh, yes. Planned it perfectly.
It just leads them straight to there. And then, like, they all end up watching her fashion show instead. Then, at this stage, I think the Baroness figures out that Cruella might be Estella. I think she figures it out. And then she tracks these two friends of hers. So she tracks them down and she finds where they live. And then Cruella gets back home, and then the Baroness is there, and she's like, yeah, I found out, it's you all along. She has all her security and stuff. And they tie Cruella up, and they're basically going to frame her death and get her two friends to go to jail because they'll say these two killed her. And they burn down her house. But this is when Mark Strong comes in. So Mark Strong, he's like the head of security for the Baroness. So he's like always in the background, but he comes and saves Cruella, and he takes her to her house. And then this is when the real twist starts. So this is when you find out that
Mark Strong's her dad.
Not exactly. It might as well have been.
See, that would be a twist and a half.
So the necklace is actually a key to a safe. Like, it's a key to like this little box. And Mark Strong has this box. So he opens his box up, or she opens his box up, and she finds her birth certificate. And her birth certificate says that she's the daughter of the Baroness. So the Baroness, okay, so this is the twist. So the Baroness is actually her mum. The Baroness was always like a horrible person, and she didn't want to have kids. So she basically told Mark Strong to kill Cruella when she was born, but he didn't do it. So he gave it to this other lady who ends up being her adoptive mother. The Baroness always thought that her daughter died because she got Mark Strong to kill him. The Baron dies because he dies of grief, I guess. So he dies, and then the Baroness inherits all his wealth. But essentially, Cruella is meant to be the heir to all this fortune.
Yeah, so she's going to kill Emma Thompson and take the money.
So that's what you think's going to happen. And there's a realization here where, because she always thought that her mother was nice, and for some reason she just turned out weird. But now she's like, oh, I was just always meant to be weird because I was born to this lady, not this psycho. She actually calls her a psycho. She's like, I was born to this psycho, so that's why I'm crazy, and I'm meant to be crazy. So it's kind of like that part where, in Joker, where he always thought that he figures out that he was the son of Thomas Wayne, or he thought that he was the son of Thomas Wayne, but then he finds out that his mum's crazy, and like he's just some guy. It's a bit like that. So this is like the turning point for her, and she commits to being crazy from now on, but not fully crazy, because she's like, oh, I'm not going to kill her yet. So
I'm just going to seriously injure her.
So she breaks out her friends. So she drives a truck into the police station and she breaks out her friends. The dogs actually play a key role in this. So those two dogs, they like help them with the heist and stuff. So the dogs go in and they like give a key to the guys. And they're all CGI dogs, by the way. And you can tell they're CGI. They're not real dogs. All the dogs in the movie. But yeah, the little chihuahua gives the guys like a key to get out of prison, and they escape. In between, like the guys, her two friends actually have a bit of character, because they're like, this lady's, slowly becoming insane. Why we're still working for her? At least one of them's like, he's got a bit of a conscience. But then she's like, oh, it was my fault, and she kind of gets them back on board. She's like, oh, you're my family, and they're like, okay, fine, we'll help you. So they do one last heist. They're like, we're gonna go to this spring gala thing, and we're gonna sabotage it. They get everyone that's attending to dress up like Cruella. The whole world knows that Cruella died now. Like, it was in the news and everything. So everyone thinks that Cruella is dead. They basically, firstly, they make everyone dress up as Cruella. So when Cruella does turn up to this gala, they won't be able to figure out who she is, because everyone's dressed like her. Then she hatches this whole plan. So it's back at the manor, and it's back on this terrace. So she gets Emma Thompson to come out exactly where her adopted mother died, and she's dressed up as Estella at this stage. So she's like on this cliff, but she gets all the other people to come out. Everyone that's in attendance, they come out, and they're standing behind Emma Thompson, but Emma Thompson doesn't know, because they slowly come out. So like they're all watching, but she doesn't know. This is where Estella's like, oh, you're my mother, and that's why all this is happening and all that. And then Emma Thompson's like, everything makes sense now. That's why you're so similar to me and all that. she's like, "Oh, can I give you a hug?" And Emma Stone is standing right at the edge of this cliff, and she's like, "Yeah, give me a hug." And then Emma Stone / Estella, she's like, "Oh, you're going to push me off the cliff?" And she's like, "No, why would I do that?" And obviously she's going to do that. So she pushes her off the cliff, and everyone watches her. And there's like journalists and police and everyone. So everyone sees her doing it. And then she gets arrested and she goes to jail for pushing her off the cliff.
And there's a trampoline at the bottom of the cliff that she falls on.
Almost. It's almost that. I thought it was going to be something stupid like that, but
It's just one of those like small trampolines as well. Do you know the kid size ones?
Yeah.
it's like a 1 meter by 1 meter. Yeah.
But what actually, it's not too far off that. It's not as stupid as that, but her dress has an inbuilt parachute. So, when she's falling down the cliff, she like activates the parachute and she gets saved by one of her friends on a boat. She comes back as Cruella. She comes back to while her actual mother is getting arrested, she comes back. So she has time to change because she falls in the water as well. So she would have been all wet, but she has time to change, dry, and come back as Cruella de Vil back to the party just in time while she's getting arrested. So this is like in like 5 minutes. But yeah, she turns up, and then in the meantime, before all of this happened, she basically transferred all the wealth because she was the sole owner of all the fortune. She transferred all the wealth to a name called Cruella de Vil, and she now takes on the persona of Cruella de Vil because Estella is dead because everyone watched Estella die. Cruella is dead because it was all over the news, but Cruella de Vil is this new person that supposedly exists and has all this money now.
But they've got the same first name and they look the same.
Yes.
Yeah.
But, and they get the name de Vil from the car. So she steals a car from the Baroness, and the car's name is de Vil. So that's how she gets the name Cruella de Vil. And yeah, the movie ends with her inheriting all the fortune and living in this manor. And there's a post-credit scene. There's a post-credit scene where, throughout this movie, there's this journalist who was also her friend when she was a kid called Anita. And this journalist helps her do some of the sabotage throughout the movie. And there's also a lawyer who used to work for the Baroness who gets fired. He's in the movie too. But basically that lawyer is the guy from 101 Dalmatians. And Anita, her friend, is the girl from 101 Dalmatians. And at the end of the movie, she keeps
adopts 101 Dalmatians.
She keeps the Dalmatians, so she keeps the Baronesses. So there's a part in this movie where the concert part where everyone is driven to this concert / showcase of her designer outfits. She is wearing like an outfit that looks like it's basically the fur of a Dalmatian on a coat, and everyone thinks that she killed the Dalmatians to make the coat, but she didn't. She just made it look like that. So Dalmatian's still alive. But at that point, you think like, well, she's actually crazy because she just killed 3 dogs and made a coat out of it. She doesn't actually do it, but she keeps the Dalmatians. And one of the Dalmatians has 2 puppies, and she gives a puppy each to Anita, and I think his name's, I forgot his name, but yeah, he's the lawyer. She gives puppy each to them, and then in 101 Dalmatians, they both meet because of the puppies.
So it's slightly different.
But technically, because I'm pretty sure those 2 puppies, they grow up to become father and mother, right? But technically they're brother and sister now.
Yeah, I don't think it matters for dogs.
But anyway, that's how it links back to 101 Dalmatians. So they link it in the post-credit scene. But yeah, at the end of this movie, Cruella de Vil's she's still not a great person, but she's not quite the Cruella de Vil in the movie yet. So that's maybe what the sequel's going to be, because the mother's still alive. She just went to prison. That's the story. I went through it in 20 minutes. I don't know how long Craig Gillespie narrated it to Emma Thompson and Emma Stone, but I did it in 20 minutes. So I thought that twist, you probably could work it out that she's maybe not because she looks completely different to her adopted mother as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, you probably could have worked it out. It's still not explained why she's born with white and black hair.
And white hair.
So after listening to that, would you watch it?
I've seen it. What do you mean? I've seen it. Yeah.
Well, you've basically seen it now.
Yeah. I don't feel a need to watch it anymore.
So it's basically The Devil Wears Prada mixed in with a bit of Joker, mixed in with 101 Dalmatians origin story. So that's what it is.
Yeah. Mixture of all 3 of them.
But yeah, I had a good time. It's entertaining. I probably wouldn't watch it again. For the one-time watch, it was fine.
I definitely won't watch it again. But yeah, it sounds okay. It sounds like it is what it is. It's a decent movie with, if you're into it, you'll probably like it.
It's got good actors, like it's got good performances. So I think Emma Stone gives a good performance, and Emma Thompson is good as well. So Mark Strong for what he's in. He's not really in it that much, but he's fine. The dogs were good, but they're not real dogs. They're just CGI, but
yeah.
It uses a lot of licensed music, like in the background, but it's got a good score as well. Like it's got this theme for Cruella, which is, I think that's all we had.
I think that's it. Yeah,
that's a quick review of quick and most comprehensive review on the internet of Cruella. Okay, so if people want to get in touch with us and tell us about how much they enjoyed Cruella, how do they go about it?
They can contact us at cognitiverecalibration@gmail.com. or on all other platforms as Cognitive Recalibration.
Yes, and if you want to support the podcast further, you can do so via Buy Me a Coffee, where you can give us a one-off donation. But most of all, if you could just give us a review on iTunes, that makes us more discoverable on search engines. So when you search Cruella review, there's probably thousands of them, but ours will come up on top. Cool. All right. So this week we were actually meant to do Conjuring The Devil Made Me Do It. But because we're in lockdown and we don't have HBO Max here in Australia, there's really no other avenue for us to watch it, other legal avenue for us to watch it. So we're going to have to wait till next week, and hopefully our lockdown is lifted by then, and we can watch that in the theaters next week. All else, we should be reviewing that in our next episode. And then the week after, the one we've all been waiting for, F9, when we find out about the origin of the F9 key on the keyboard.
On the keyboard. It's either that or they say the F word 9 times in a row, repeatedly for 2 hours.
Yeah. Either one of them, it's the origin of the F word, and they say it 9 times.
Yeah.
Everything has to be an origin story now. It's just the way it works. It has to be an origin. So I'm looking forward to that one. I should say this at the end of every episode, but if you're joining us for the first time, we have been doing this for a little bit of time now, so we have a lot of other reviews, so check them out. We've done other Disney stuff. We've done all the Marvel stuff since Infinity War, and all the DC stuff as well, so check out our other episodes if you enjoyed this one. Thanks for joining us for this one. Hope you're all staying safe, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.